Let's go to the Big 12 championship in Arlington, the next one with massive college football playoff stakes. It's win or you're in. That simple. Lose and your season, other than a bowl game, is over. It's number 16 Iowa State taking on number 15 Arizona State. The Sun Devils are 2-point favorites. 11 a.m. Saturday on ABC. Guys, on paper, it seems like the Sun Devils' run game should be an absolute nightmare for the Cyclones, but last week in Farmageddon, they held Kansas State to just 144 yards on the ground. Arizona State's won 7 straight games where Sam Leavitt was available. They did lose to Cincinnati, but during that stretch, the last 7 games with Sam Leavitt, he has 18 touchdowns and just 3 interceptions. Rocco Beck, of course, has had a great year in his own right. I'm pumped for this one, guys. And to, shame that take that we talked about off the top just a little bit more, this Big 12 title game is usually always really fun, regardless of the stakes. But now you add a whole bunch of stakes into it. Boy, sign me up. I cannot wait to watch this game on Saturday morning.
So it's funny that earlier in the season, I was the one that was trying to paint the golden light on Iowa State's defense and their rushing defense specifically. Like, yeah, I know they gave up a bunch of yards, but surely they're going to fix it, right? Remember North Dakota going into the Iowa game. It's like, yeah, they gave up 174 yards on the ground, but surely they're going to be fine against the Hawks. That was just a warm-up game. Their rushing totals that they gave up this year, 174, 204, 64 to Arkansas State. Throw that one out. 169, 79 to Baylor, 148, 354 to UCF, 129, 237, 287, 95 to Utah, who can't run the ball or do anything this year, and 144 to Kansas State. The quality of opponent seems to be directly correlated to how many yards on the ground that they give up.
Other than UCF, because I think they attempted like 11 passes in that game too.
Well, and that was also that was like right before UCF absolutely fell off the cliff, right? Yeah. They were teetering on it. Yeah. Anyway, that being said, Cam Skattebo, quality back. Arizona State, quality football program. We're going to go forks up. I'm going to take Arizona State to win the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah, I think this is going to be all Arizona State. I think Cam Skattebo is going to finish this game with over 2,000 total yards for the year. He currently sits at 1,866 in total scrimmage yards. He's going to get probably 150 to 200 yards in this game, and between rushing and catching balls out of the backfield, something like that. He's having a fantastic season. 19 touchdowns on the year for Cam Skattebo. He's an absolute monster. And speaking of quarterbacks not getting enough praise, yeah, Sam Leavitt's been a lot better. He's improving in front of our eyes. He's having kind of quietly a good year in the Big 12. He'll probably be able to take those next steps over the next few years and really become something for Arizona State. But we don't have to talk about those next couple of years. We get to talk about them right now because they're a really, really good football team. I think they're going to be able to run the football for whatever they want to, set up some play action, hit some big shots. Going to be a lot of partying for Arizona State when they come to Arlington. It's going to be a fun weekend for the Sun Devils faithful.
They've got a lot of tools for a team to be a team that could cause a higher seed some problems. A guy like Cam Skattebo, a really good receiver that's emerged in Jordan Tyson as the number 1 option for Sam Leavitt. I'm really excited to see what the Sun Devils can do because I think they are going to make it to the college football playoff. Vibes are really high in Ames right now, coming off their first the win in Farmageddon gave them their first 10-win season ever. It's a lot to be said to overcome those vibes for Arizona State, but I was really impressed with how thoroughly the Sun Devils dismantled their rival last week when so much was ahead of them. There's so much pressure on them for the first time in ages, and they live up to the billing and just destroyed their rival on the road. So I think that momentum carries over to Arlington. They get the win.
Kenny Dillingham has stepped up to the plate, and he's been one of the best stories since he moved down from Oregon. And I love the direction that he's headed with that program. I think Matt Campbell is a good coach. I've sung his praises for the past several years. I mean, there was one time where I was very publicly advocating for him to be the head coach of my team. Glad it didn't work out that way. But I do like Kenny Dillingham as the better coach. I think the team that the Sun Devils have is better. I like the coaching matchup for Kenny Dillingham as well. I will say this year in the Big 12, as we've talked about all year, with the conference being wide and not deep, and who's really the front runner, and will someone fill the power vacuum? We thought it was going to be Utah or Arizona or Oklahoma State, and no one really rose to the occasion from that group. The closest that we had expectations to was Iowa State here. They were one of my preseason darlings. I said 9 wins is certainly in the cards. You can squint your way to Arlington, and lo and behold, they found their way to get here. What I'm interested in is, yes, who wins this game and goes to the college football playoff, but mostly what kind of legacy does this set up for 2025 and beyond? A conference that's looking for a rudder, that's looking for a bellwether. These are 2 rather unlikely programs historically to do that, and yet they've taken the bull by the horns here in year 1. I think this sets up the Big 12 to be a fascinating conference, to be God's conference going forward.
And a couple of teams that have a lot of talent coming back next year too. Like that, that is a big thing to look at. I think, yeah, Skattebo is draft eligible, but I do think that he has a year of eligibility remaining if he wanted to use it. So Sam Levitt obviously will be back. Rocco Becht will be back. So lots to look forward to next year for these teams.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I want to reiterate this from the live show that we talked about, Trey, but the job that Kenny Dillingham has done turning this thing around after the Herm Edwards debacle is just fantastic. I didn't expect them to be competitive for 5 years minimum, and here they are, not only 10-2 in the championship game, but knocking on the door of a college football playoff berth. Could knock off one of these teams. I think there's a couple maybe slightly overrated teams that might be hosting games that, you know, Arizona State could find their way there. They could find their way to a bye if Clemson wins the ACC. There's all sorts of things that could happen that run in their favor right now. This is a massive moment for them in their program. And yeah, for a conference looking for some identity and looking for one of those kind of top teams, why not Arizona State? That's a lot of fun.
Gracious him. How about